Hello students, my name is Niyati Said and thanks for watching Edupedia word videos. My topic for the presentation is the sixth section of the chapter Chemical Control and Coordination. In this section of the presentation, we'll be studying about the parathyroid gland, which is the fourth endocrine gland of the human body. Okay, so if we talk about their origin, position and structure. Okay, so two pairs of a small pea-sized parathyroid gland is located on the dorsal side of the thyroid gland. Okay, this is the thyroid gland and this is the, you can say that pea-sized parathyroid glands are located on the dorsal or the posterior side of the thyroid gland. One pair is embedded on each lobe of the thyroid. They originate from the embryonic endoderm. When I say that embryonic has three layers, embryonic germ layers are of three types. First is the ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. So this parathyroid gland, it is originated or it is derived from the embryonic endoderm. Okay, it is a small rounded mass which is attached to the posterior surface of the thyroid gland. And what does parathyroid gland do? It produces parathyroid hormone, that is PTH. Okay, parathyroid hormone, and it controls homeostasis of calcium and phosphate in blood by activating vitamin D. Okay, what does it do? It activates the vitamin D and thus controls the homeostasis of calcium and phosphate in blood. Okay, please note that PTH, that is your parathyroid hormone, it secretes, or you can say that a parathyroid gland, it secretes a peptide hormone, and that is your parathyroid hormone. So you can say that parathyroid hormone is a peptide hormone, and the secretion of PTH is regulated by circulating level of calcium ions. Your parathyroid hormone, that is PTH, it increases the calcium level in the blood. PTH, it acts on the bone and they stimulate the process of bone resorption. Bone resorption means dissolution of bone or demineralization of bone. Okay, PTH, that is your parathyroid hormone, it also stimulates reabsorption of calcium by the renal tubules of the kidney and thus increases the calcium ion absorption from the digested food. It is thus clear that PTH, that is your parathyroid hormone, is hypercalcemic hormone. What do you mean by hypercalcemic hormone? That is, it increases the blood calcium level along with the thyrocalcitonin. Thyrocalcitonin is a protein hormone which is secreted by the thyroid hormone. So along with the TCT, that is thyrocalcitonin, it plays a significant role in calcium balance in the human body. Okay, so this was the overview which I gave you about the parathyroid gland. Okay, now in humans, 4 parathyroid hormones are present on the back side of the thyroid gland. See, I have already taught you thyroid gland. So thyroid gland is located in the neck of the human body. Okay, and it has two lobes, right thyroid and left thyroid, and both are connected by a connective tissue which we call it as isthmus. Below that, or you can say on the dorsal side of that, 4 parathyroid hormones are located in the thyroid gland. One pair each in the two lobes. That means thyroid has two lobes. So 2 parathyroid glands will be located on either side of the thyroid gland. Okay, that means each lobule of a thyroid gland bears 2 lobe of parathyroid gland. Okay. Parathyroid gland, they secrete a peptide hormone, as I said, and that is known as parathyroid hormone. Okay, and the secretion of parathyroid hormone is regulated by circulating level of calcium ions. Parathyroid hormone, it increases the calcium level in the blood, and it acts on the bone, and they stimulate the process of bone resorption. And what is that? Dissolution or demineralization of bones. And PTH, it also stimulates reabsorption of calcium ion by renal tubules of the kidney, and thus they increase calcium ion absorption from the digested food. It is thus clear that parathyroid hormone, that is your PTH, is a hypercalcemic hormone. That is, it increases the blood calcium level. And along with the TCT, what is that? TCT is your thyrocalcitonin. It plays a significant role in chemical balance in the body. Okay, so I hope the role of the parathormone is clear to all of you. Now let's see the disorders connected with the parathyroid hormone or parathyroid gland. Okay, so the most common disease of parathyroid gland is hyperparathyroidism, which is characterized by the excess parathyroid hormone regardless of the calcium level. Okay, so that means hyper, when I say, then that means excess secretion of that particular hormone is taking place. So in this disease of the parathyroid hormone, it is characterized by the excess PTH hormone and regardless of the calcium level. Okay, in other words, you can say that parathyroid gland, it continue to make large amount of PTH, that is large amount of parathyroid hormone, even when the calcium level is very normal, and they should not be making the hormone at all. Okay, as we know that your PTH, that is parathyroid hormone, it increases the excretion of calcium by the kidney into the urine. See, this is the kidney, this is the ureter. Okay, so PTH, what does it do? It increases the excretion. See, calcium is going to the kidney. Okay, so it increases the excretion of the calcium by the kidney into the urine. Okay, so elevated urine calcium form kidney stones. See, these are the kidney stones. Okay, and PTH, it also enhances the release of calcium from the bone into the blood stream. What does it do? It enhances the release of calcium from bone into the blood stream. See, this bone calcium is going to the blood. Okay, and from the blood it is going to the kidney, and thus this PTH increases the excretion of calcium by the kidney into the urine. Okay, but as I said that demineralization has occurred in the bone, then the bone will suffer from the disease known as osteoporosis. So osteoporosis leads to the bone fracture very soon. So this is the common disorder of parathyroid hormone, which we call it as parathyroidism, and it occurs or because of the excess PTH hormone regardless of the calcium level. And the parathyroid gland, it continue to make large amount of PTH even when the calcium level is normal, and they should not be making the hormone at all. Okay, so what is the conclusion? So osteoporosis will be the result, and the elevated urine calcium will form the kidney stone. So kidney stone and osteoporosis are the two things which will take place because of the hyperthyroidism. Okay, which is a common disease of parathyroid gland. Okay, and which is characterized by excess PTH hormones. Now comes your hypoparathyroidism. It is just the opposite of the hyperparathyroidism. Okay, hypo means decreased production of parathyroid hormone, that is PTH. Okay, so it is the combination of the symptoms due to inadequate parathyroid hormone production. Okay, and this leads to decreased blood level of calcium in the blood. Okay, so this leads to the decreased blood level of calcium, which we call it as hypocalcemia. Hypocalcemia, an increased level of the blood phosphorus, which we call it as hyperphosphatemia. Okay, so hypothyroidism, you can say that see, this is the thyroid gland, this is the larynx, which we call it as voice box, and this is your thyroid gland, this red one, and these four lobules are your parathyroid glands. They are present in two pairs, as you can see, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so hypothyroidism is a disorder of parathyroid hormone, and it causes the lowering of the blood calcium level, and this increases the excitability of nerves and muscles that cause cramps and convulsions. Sustained contraction of muscles of larynx, face, hand and feet are produced, and this disorder is also known as hypocalcemic tetany or parathyroid tetany. Okay, so don't get confused with it, because it leads to the decreased blood level of the calcium. That's why we call it as hypocalcemic tetany, and increased level of blood phosphorus, that's why we call it as parathyroid tetany. Okay, or hyperphosphatemia. Okay, now the third disorder is your osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is one of the parathyroid gland is overreactive. Okay, or you can say when the one, as there are four parathyroid glands present on the thyroid gland. Okay, so when one of the parathyroid gland is overactive, it releases too much of PTH hormone, that is parathyroid hormone, and that causes your bone to release calcium constantly into the bloodstream. That means calcium of your bones, they starts to drain off into the bloodstream. Okay, and that calcium will be excreted by the kidney, so excessive urine formation will cause the kidney stones too. Okay, so this, in the osteoporosis, what happens is it causes your bone to release calcium constantly into the bloodstream, and without enough calcium in your bones, they lose their density and hardness. That means bone is no more dense, or it is no more hard, and it is characterized by this loss of calcium and bone density. Okay, as you can see in the osteoporosis defected person, the spine has become more of the S shaped. Okay, because it has lost its density and hardness, and it has become more fragile like, and it has become, you can say, that more fracture prone. Okay, see, this is the normal bone, as you can see the zoom view of the normal bone, and this is the bone with the osteoporosis. More pores are there, that means it has made the bone very fragile and more fracture prone, because without enough calcium in your bone, they will definitely lose their density and hardness, and it is characterized by the loss of calcium and the bone density. So these are the three disorders which we read, that is hyperparathyroidism, hypoparathyroidism and osteoporosis. Okay, so these were the disorders of the parathyroid gland. In my next section of the presentation, we will be studying about the fifth gland, and that is thymus gland. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching Edupedia Word videos.